I wanted to start with one of your games of this last tournament. I don't know how was the experience for you. How do you think you played during this tournament?
Well, it's first of all, it's tough because I've played. I think this is my seventh tournament this year, and I've had poor results every tournament. So it's very frustrating, especially. I mean, my rating is only going down. I think after this, I'm going to be 1300, which is crazy. Um, Overall, I thought I did okay. I think I missed a couple of opportunities, such as in the very last game, I missed a really good attack, and I think in the first two games that were draws, um, well, I don't think I should be drawing 800s. Well, well, the first was an unrated, and then the second guy was 800, and that game was interesting because it kind of went straight to an end game, and I'm not sure what I could have done differently. So overall, I thought I did okay, but I was hoping to do better because my ratings did drop.
Yeah, one thing is that these guys don't play 800, they don't play 1000, they play a lot better. And
Yeah.
those ratings are completely unreal. Once they start playing more rated tournaments, they're going to go up, and they're going to go up really quickly. I mean, an 800 rated player should be hanging pieces all over, and they are definitely not. They really understand what they are doing, so I wouldn't feel that bad about that. Uh, Also, there are a lot of unrated players who actually play really great chess. um, well, here where I live, there's a case of a man who returned to chess after like 20 years. He didn't have a FIDE rating, and suddenly he played an open tournament, and he was doing a performance of 2,300. And he ended up entering the list with, I believe, 2,200
Oh wow.
approximately. And he's a very strong player, and it's not a fake rating or
Mm,
nothing like that. So sometimes rating doesn't tell the whole
mm,
story.
mm.
And this is the case. These guys, well, 800, 1,000, I don't believe them.
Yeah.
You
Well.
should play.
Yeah. The reason is because where I live, not my city, but close to where I live in Vancouver, there is a chess school there for kids, and they have over 700 kids there. And they go there, the kids go there 20 hours a week, and some of them have private coaches, and they start when they're like 5 years old. And so that's really like it's really deflated the ratings across the board, and it's pretty crazy. Also because in my previous tournament, the one before this one, there was a guy in my section who was 1900 on chess.com, but he's only 1400 in the national rating here. It's
Yeah. Now you can check chess.com and you realize if you really know who you're playing.
mm,
And kids progress much quicker than the rating. So yeah, it's tough. I know it's. So we can start with one of the games. I analyzed some of them, and well, there are some interesting things I would like to go through.
okay, great. So this was round
And
4. Oh, this was round 4. This game, Jason Bell.
against
Yep.
Bell versus Tyler. Okay, we're going to go through this one. So he played d4, c5, knight f3, d6, bishop d5 check, bishop d7, bishop takes d7 check, queen takes d7. That's all right. You can also take with the knight, but it's normally it's considered better to take with the queen so that next you can deploy your knight to a better square here on c6. Castling, knight f6, rook e1, knight c6, c3.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, I've got a story here. Yeah, so I thought for a long time here, like 15 minutes, or longer. And I spoke to my opponent after the game, and I analyzed it after the game. I guess e6 pretty much has to be played here. Um, and I misplayed the next like 3 or 4 moves when I played g6 and then I don't even follow up with the fianchetto. I played g6 and then I think I play e6 after.
Yeah, it's a problem. It's not easy to face because he's going to go d4, he's going to take up all the center. And well, when this happens, you really need a plan. You have to find a way of exerting some pressure on the center, or he's going to have a very comfortable position. Well, that's actually what happened during the game. If you go g6 here, you have to start thinking of what you're going to do when he plays d4. Um, it almost seems forced to take on d4, and after c takes d4, c takes d4,
Then I gotta,
you
yeah, the
have
knight
to
knight e7, yeah.
Yeah, and then you really have to calculate the possible break on the center. You have to you need a share of the center. Otherwise, you're going to be very uncomfortable. Your pieces are going to be driven back, and well, some troubles will arise
Yeah,
very quickly.
my concern here was I wanted to play e6, but I was scared of d4 and take. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Wait. Let me think here. I think I was so yeah. E6, d4, and take, and I didn't know how I was going to stop d5. Um, yeah, I think that was my concern.
Yeah, there you can only stop d5 by playing it yourself.
I did not
So,
consider that.
so I'm sorry, e6. There it is. E6, d4, c takes d4, c takes d4, and well, now you can't allow d5, and you don't really
Oh,
have a good place for that knight on c6, and you can't take on d5 and open the file with your king on e8, so you have to play d5 here.
I
I know it looks scary. The pawn is going down the e-file, and your knight on f6 seems to be in some trouble. Um, this would be very scary if white still had his light squared bishop. And with that in mind, maybe it's not that terrible if this bishop disappeared from the board. If a bishop were on c3, you'll be in a lot of trouble. An attack on the king side would be really easy to mount. And you'll have a very tough time finding squares for your pieces. But now that the light squared bishop isn't on the board, White's strategy also has some risks. He's putting all his pawns on dark squares, and his bishop is a dark squared bishop, so um, he's losing some control of the light squares. And now you can go knight d4. That's fine, I guess. I know this knight um, seems a bit off on e4 because after some f3 it might be trapped, uh, but it's actually not that easy to put this knight on f3 somewhere and then play f3. If you go knight fd2, then the exchange saves the knight and you have no problems. Um,
it kind of resembles a French.
It's a French where black has solved the problem of the bishop on c8, so that's great for him. If you get to play bishop b7 and f6, and you get a French-like structure, which it is at this point, you're going to be very well placed. I mean, the French, you always have to deal with that light squared bishop that it's very difficult to put into play. And now you exchange it. I mean, White should have his light squared bishop if he wanted to play that structure. I'm not saying that white is worse here, but there are no problems for black either. You could even go knight g8 in this position if knight e4 is too scary. It seems odd, but the knight is heading for f5, just like in the French. Knight e7, knight f5, followed even by h5 is quite common because, well, that way you support the knight on f5. And afterwards, you're going to play bishop b7. I know it looks too time consuming, but the center is closed, so your king is in no immediate danger. And, well, as a close position, it allows for more maneuvering than usual, and you can get a little bit behind in development and maybe nothing happens. I cited some examples on the comment. After knight g8, there are some games in this position. Even Duda played that knight g8 recently. And well, here's an example: a3, preventing bishop b4 probably. Knight g e8, knight c3, knight f5. And well, there are really no problems for black here. It's a good French, as I was saying.
G4 is.
Well, g4 is really, really double-edged. Let me see after g4, you can go back to e7. You can go knight e7. And then you're going to go h5. You're going to open the h file, or you're going to force him to play something like g5, which would be horrible because you get total control over the light squares. And it's not that easy for white to cope with. You're doing well here after h3, h5. You're going to open the h file, maybe go knight g6, bishop b7, or if white plays g5, your knight lands on f5, and he is the one with a little bit of trouble on the light squares. g4 looks scary, but it's also a very committal move. If he can take advantage of the fact that your pieces are not out yet, and it seems like he doesn't have the weapons to do so, you're going to be fine, even better.
Yeah, it's interesting because the reason I played G6 is because I was scared of E5 because I didn't know where I was going to put this knight, and I didn't want to put it to. It just looked really bad on E4 in my mind. Like I really thought eventually this is going to be pushed. F3 is going to be pushed, but as you say, it's going to take some time for him to do that, and he doesn't really have a good space for his knight, right?
On e4, it's more dependent on tactics. Knight g8 in this case seems like the positional alternative, you might say. What's interesting is that white setup seems very aggressive, but without the light square bishop, it's not really that threatening. I left some games on the comments, and you're going to see that black diffuses white's activity very easily in most in most cases.
Okay.
They're only a sample, but there are a lot of games which are very, very much alike. So here you went for g6, and it's not that this move is bad, but it's a little bit more difficult. Even Wesley So played g6, as I saw when I researched a little bit this variation. But it requires maybe a little more precision. Well, now comes the big mistake.
Yeah.
What did you think in this position? What was your
I
train of?
think my fear was I just didn't want him to play d5, because I just thought I'm losing a whole tempo there. Um, that was basically it.
Okay, the thing is, well, he gets a central break either way. Um, this is what we were talking about. If you give your opponent the center like this, which was inevitable at this point, you need to find a way, or you need to make a plan of hitting back almost immediately, because then if you start playing developing moves just like bishop g7, for example, knight c3, you castle king side, then he's going to take control over the center and you're not going to get it back. He might go d5 there. Your knight doesn't have many good squares. He gets a free hand on the center, a lot of space advantage, and it's very uncomfortable for black. So maybe here you had to go for d5. Well, that's what Saw played in the game, and he did well. After d5, e5, knight e4, and the move you don't want to make.
Yeah.
um, Actually, black is doing okay, it seems. Again, there are no good squares for the knight on f3, so it's not that easy to trap the knight on e4. Sadly, you had to go for this at this point. You can't allow white to play d5 and push your knight back and take total control over the center. And I know it's scary, but at this point you had to hit back on the center. Is it well? It's a positional mistake. I mean, you are behind in development. Your king is still on the e file. That rook on e1 is looking indirectly at the moment, but the e file is soon to be open. Now you are in trouble. And besides, e6 and g6, it's a good rule to remember. Don't go well together. When you play e6 and g6,
You got a weak f6 square.
I'm sorry, what?
I said then you get a weak f6 square.
Exactly. There are a lot of weak dark squares after you play e6 and g6, and your bishop is only going to land on one of the diagonals. So now after e6, if you play the bishop to e7, all of your dark squares on the king side are horribly weak. And if you play bishop d7, the pawn on d6 lacks support because you play e6, and the dark squares in general are a little bit soft. So e6 and g6 usually don't go well together.
Okay.
There are some systems where you play bishop g7, then play e6 anyway, and then play knight e7 maybe. But here it looks really strange. And well, your opponent played the best move here to make matters worse. d5. d5 is very strong. You have very tough decision to make here. You were very brave and you took on d5. Maybe you had to go for knight d8 because opening the e file seems almost suicidal. I don't know. Well, I don't know if you even consider the move like knight d8.
I mean, I saw it, but I really didn't want to concede a move like that. So I actually in this position, I didn't really give other moves much. I mean, I gave them some consideration, but I was pretty much. I thought I was obliged to take here and then go back with knight e7 and just try to hang on.
Yeah, you're trying to hang here. That we can agree on that. 98, 98 ended in difficult positional situation. There, after 98, he can't go e5 immediately because you're going to take d takes e5, and then the d5 pawn will be hanging. So he can't play e5 and rip open the center and blow up everything. It's not that easy for him, and that's a good thing about knight d8. It lets you keep the position closed.
Such a weird move, but yeah.
It's awful, but well, it's what it is. After e5, as we were, and now he can't retake on e5 with a knight because the pawn on d5 is falling, so he can't just open the position like he would like. But he can always go knight c3. And now he's really threatening to play e5 because you're not going to be able to retake with the queen on d5. And well, this is a problem. E5 might well be an only move. Otherwise, he's going to play it and it will be a lot worse. Now, after something like bishop g5, bishop g7.
Yeah, my bishop is doing nothing. Yeah.
Yes, all your pieces are very passive.
Yeah.
Knight on d8.
Yeah, looks bad.
Yeah, you're at a disadvantage in space. He's going to play on the queen side mainly because that's where the space advantage is. Well, the bishop on g7 and the knight on d8 are going to have a tough time. It was horrible. It let you keep the position closed, and maybe you're going to be alive for longer.
Prolong the agony, yeah.
After d5, you were between rock and hard place either way, so it's a matter of taste. So going back to d5. Now it takes d5, it takes d5 check, knight e7, knight c3. All of this is okay, I guess. Maybe he could go bishop g5 immediately, but well, it's kind of subtle. There might be a difference here. He could play bishop g5, bishop g7, and start putting pressure immediately over f6. It's kind of subtle. I mean, I think he played well either way. I believe that knight h5 is the only move here to avoid losing a piece, and queen h4, you're going to have a lot of trouble on the...
Ooh, yeah, that does not look good.
This is an only move, but it's not a good one, obviously. Now the rook is going to land here. He's going to double rooks on the e5, I guess, and there are some problems.
So I messed up here. If I remember, I thought for a very long time here, very long time. Yeah, I don't know, 15 minutes or so. And I finally decided that I had to actually castle queenside, because my fear was queen e2. I thought 100% he's going to play queen e2 because then I can't castle. Because I'm strangled. I can't move anything, and I thought 100% he's going to play queen e2, and for some reason, like I decided I'm going to castle, but then the last second I kind of thought, before I castle, let's just improve the bishop, and then I just forgot. I simply just forgot, and then when he didn't play queen e2, I was completely shocked, and I was very happy to castle afterwards.
Yes, if he played Queen e2, you were never going to castle.
Yeah.
uh, it's amazing that he didn't play it. Everything indicates that it was his idea to keep your king there on a8, but well, here he let you off the hook. And castling queenside, well, it's not a solution, but nothing is at this point. Your queenside is devastated as it is.
Yeah.
If you go queenside castling, he's going to play bishop e3, rook to c1, queen b3, and
I
I
just
guess
I just
the
couldn't think of a good move.
yes. Well, after the e5 was opened,
Yeah.
you virtually lost the right to castle. But now bishop g7, queen, no, bishop g5. That was a mistake. Queen e2 was clearly the move. It's still not trivial to win this with white, of course. And I mean, there's not even a decisive advantage. But you probably have to go king f8,
Yeah.
which is not pretty.
Or
You're going to
e8,
have
or sorry, or d8 maybe.
for d8. I don't know. It looks a lot more exposed on d8. Um, I don't know if I can give a concrete variation that proves my point, but on d8 he's still on the center,
Yeah.
and he's going nowhere. I mean, you're not going to play king c7 anytime soon. Um, I don't know. It looks like his shelter is even poorer here. But either way, the king is going to remain on the center, and these rooks are not going to be connected easily, and that's a big problem. White's play is easy. He's going to play bishop e3 or bishop g5, rook ac1, and things like knight b5 appear. It's very difficult to defend this. Um, but after bishop g5, he let you off the hook, and you could finally castle. You're not even worse here. What did you think of this position, apart from the fact that you were relieved?
Well, yeah, no, I just had a huge sense of relief here. I thought he let me back in the game. I actually had a chance now. Um, yeah, I thought I was a bit worse, but not obviously not nearly as bad as I was previously. I thought I just needed to clean things up a little bit, and then I would be pretty much equal here.
In fact, it's strange, but from here on, his position starts going downwards really quickly, and I think it's not casual. Usually, when you lose your advantage, it happens that you start making very bad moves. It's a very common phenomenon. It happens to all of us. Um, Here it happens that it's not so easy to find a plan for white. I mean, your pieces are suddenly very, very good, very active. That bishop on g7 is going to be a monster. Maybe he felt like he was a bit overextended because, well, that pawn on d5 is easier to attack than your pawn on d6. Uh, you have good posts for your knights. You're going to go knight f5, and maybe he wasn't so clear as what to do here. And he didn't play badly from here. Except when he makes a big blunder.
Yeah.
But it's difficult to play this as white. Suddenly, all of your pieces are very well coordinated, and it's not clear what he should be doing. I think that's what happened to him. Suddenly, it's not easy to find a plan for white. I mean, if he goes knight d4 and he posts what seems like a good knight on d4, the knight lacks support. I mean, the pawn on d5 would be hanging also. Um, That bishop on g7 is a permanent cause for concern. He doesn't want to play bishop f6, at least he shouldn't want to exchange that bishop. And suddenly it's easier to play as black. You're going to go rook f8, knight f5, and it's not as intuitive for white. And it's curious that once you castle, all the advantage White had was based on his advantage on development. This proves that the advantage on development is very ephemeral. It tends to go off very quickly if you don't play energetically. You just lose it, and suddenly you might be even worse. And I think this is what happened to him. He played natural moves, but his position became increasingly difficult to handle. Well, I didn't quite understand king effect.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember myself. Um, I think my concern was I wanted to move this knight. I wanted to develop this knight somewhere. So I might have been eyeing something like f5. And I'm just trying to remember what I was thinking. And then I think I was maybe concerned of this. That's I don't know. That's yeah. I don't know. And it's I might have also been thinking to bring it to g8 so that I could push this bishop away. But I know it's looking at it now. It looks really like a really weird move. Where was
You
it?
suddenly became ambitious, I guess.
Where was it? Oh,
You were
here.
playing for it.
Yeah. Whoops.
You were playing for a win. Suddenly you became ambitious. You didn't want too much exchanges. Too
Yeah.
many
Well.
pieces going off the board. With an open file like the E file, which is clearly the file every heavy piece wants to be at this moment, it's almost impossible not to exchange the heavy pieces. I mean, uh, maybe here you could just go for knight f5, and rook takes, rook e1, and maybe, I don't know, maybe you were afraid of exchanging too many pieces. Am I right?
Well, no. I think doesn't knight f5 run into g4? Whoops. Right here. Oh no. Sorry. No. Yeah. It's covered by here.
After queen f4.
I think maybe another possibility. I might have been concerned of him doubling up. Yeah, and then him controlling the file. I just felt. Yeah, I might have been concerned about this actually. And then if trades, I thought that my knights were kind of jumbled up here, and if we traded too much, I was a bit concerned about him having a little bit more better positions with his knight, and that he may be able to push on the queen side here. That's all that I can kind of remember.
I actually like your position after the exchange of the heavy pieces. I think it's going to be a little bit more difficult for him to hold because he's kind of overextended, and your bishop on g7 is very strong. And that bishop on g5 is not doing anything great. And your bishop on g7 is going to be a real nuisance for him. Um, as I said, the exchange of the heavy pieces is almost inevitable. And king f8, well, it's really odd looking. um, and you're going to have to play knight f5 anyway. Knight eg8 was very strange. It's an original idea, but even if you go knight eg8 and then h6, he's just going to go bishop f4, and he will be fine, and your knight on g8 is going to be misplaced, I guess. Knight f5 was more natural, maybe. But nothing is ruined because you can still play knight f5 and there's no big deal here. Well, it was like that. Bishop takes. What do you think of bishop takes f6?
Well, I spoke to I after the game. I went to the Skittles room with my opponent, and we talked about the whole game before the next round. And I told him that I thought one of the mistakes he made in the game was trading off his dark squared bishop, because I thought he should have probably tried to trade the bishop for my bishop, my fianchetto bishop. I thought that would have been better because he was really surprised that later in the game he wasn't able to do anything, wasn't able to launch an attack on my king. And I think that is partly, again, because he traded off his bishop. I think he shouldn't have traded off his bishop here.
Well, yeah. The problem is that now you have a very stable advantage. That bishop is better than the knight here. Well, white has a positional problem with those knights because the knights need they need good outposts. They need to be defended on the center, and there are no good outposts for the knights. On e4, if he goes knight e4, well, the knight can be held there, but it's not a permanent situation for him. He can be attacked. Playing f3 is very difficult for white, so that he can hold the knight there, and he can go knight d4 either. So those knights are not going to be very active, while your bishop is going to be a giant. He's going to cross the board. He's going to give white a lot of headaches on that queen side. I really like your position here. You have a lot to play for. I mean, maybe you're not objectively a lot better, but it's going to be very difficult for white to come up with a plan, especially with those knights that really have a lot of difficulties generating play. They don't have good outposts, and that's a problem when you have to face a bishop with the knights. You really need a good place in the center to post the knight, or he's not going to be able to compete with the bishop. He went for knight e4, which is reasonable. I mean,
I wanted to mention something here. My opponent started taking a lot of time in the middle game here, a lot of time, and he was actually even starting to get into time trouble here. So the time controls were 90 minutes each and 30-second increment. And if I had to guess, I think at this point he might have had maybe like 15 minutes left. Like he was really starting to get into time trouble, and I had a lot of time left. So
the blunder was in part due to grave time trouble.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, he's going to have a lot of trouble defending this with little time on the clock. Knight eg5 is, I don't know, hope chess maybe. That knight is going nowhere. White can't reasonably hope for an attack here. He just doesn't.
I had to be careful though, because I wanted to play bishop h6, but then I was careful because I saw that that loses to a tactic. I lose a pawn because he can just take the pawn and check and move back, and then I just lose a pawn. And if I move the king to g8, then I will lose the queen.
IF6. Well, how is that variation after?
Oh wait. Maybe it was after. Was it here? Whoops. Well, maybe it's just a pawn. I thought he could go here. I don't know why I was thinking he could go there, but So I was thinking here, yeah. So this is losing the queen like that. So and then and if I whoops, and if I go here, I thought he can just go back and he just won a free pawn. So I had to be careful about that.
And after, I'm sorry, after
If I was thinking bishop h6.
knight takes,
Yeah.
after king g7, knight h g, then f6. Last move had to be.
Uh,
Uh,
well, I guess there was also it's not as
there's
clear.
something there. I think it ends up well for you, but you had
But I was
to see
thinking here
one
too.
move. Oh, but the knights look really funny there. They're
Yeah, it's a
almost
little
going to
dangerous.
fall.
Yeah.
f6 maybe. Either way.
Ah, yeah. This was one of my phantom threats, my phantom threat thing where I got scared. Yeah.
A phantom threat.
Yeah.
uh,
That's my worst enemy.
but I think you could go back with knight h g5. Yeah, after king g7, knight h g5, and now f6. You do have a move that looks very
Oh,
strong.
check. Just knight 96 even.
Knight e6 check, and rook takes e6.
Uh, well, yeah, pawn takes. So d takes.
Pawn takes.
Yeah.
Bishop takes d2.
We take again and we're threatening the rook.
And bishop takes e1.
Take the rook. And then after takes, then we can take the rook. Oh, wait. Yeah. Yeah. So that looks good for white.
And there's a little nice variation. Knight e6, rook takes e6, d takes e6, bishop takes d2, e takes d7, bishop takes e1. It seems like an only move. And they are white to play and win, you could say.
So you don't think so? I mean, I was thinking of just d takes e8.
But there's no rook on e8. He already played rook takes e8, e6. After knight e6, rook takes it.
Okay. But you're saying there's another option. Well, what about rook e8?
That's strong. Rook e8. No taking the bishop on e1, rook
Yeah.
e8, and you're going to promote. It's a nice variation. After f6, well, if you see that to the end, well done. So knight rook takes. This is an important move so that you threaten bishop takes d2, e takes d7, and there's no option because your needs change up. He has to take on e1. There it is. Now the variation is recorded.
Yeah. We can get one more pawn. With f. Yeah.
Bishop h6 was extravagant. Either way, king g8 looks healthy. I mean, there's no need to.
Yeah, I thought bishop h6 was too risky.
King g8 is fine. Did you consider h6? Is it possible at all?
I considered it. I'm trying to remember why I didn't go for it. Yeah, I'm not sure why I didn't play it. I remember looking at it, but I just went with King G8.
Well, maybe you didn't consider that the knight on g5 is that threatening, so you didn't want to push him back, and that's
Oh,
that's
I remember.
reasonable, I
I
guess.
think I remember now. I think I in the future I might want to play Bishop H6. So I left that option open. I think that's what I was thinking.
Ah, okay, okay. Well, knight eg5 wasn't threatening at all,
Hmm.
and it it happens a lot with those kind of moves, those knight excursions. And you have to be really careful about moving your pieces to the wings without any real justification, because uh, then it takes time to bring them back to the center, and maybe they can even become targets. It happens. After you play h6, for example, he has to go knight e4, and he has gained nothing. He lost the time. He lost the tempo, and now you can you can go on with your plan. I mean, you can play king g8, maybe rook a c8, and knight g5 is a loss of time. King g8, I guess is fine. I mean, if he wants to retreat, let him do it voluntarily. It's a good. Queen f4, queen b5. Interesting way of
Yeah,
putting the pawn.
I was basically just trying to create some counterplay, and I'm not sure if this was a good decision or not, but I was trying to give him something to think about because he was really low on the clock here. He had about 3 minutes here. So I wasn't moving super quick. I was still taking my time. Like I on this move I actually spent a long time. Like maybe like 8 minutes, 7 or 8 minutes. But I wanted to kind of complicate the position just because he was so low on the clock.
It's a good thing to take your time when your opponent is very
Mm.
low on his clock. Um, Sometimes it happens that we want to put pressure on him by playing fast, and that usually backfires. It
Mm.
happened to me a lot. uh, yes, you just want to put pressure on him, and you start playing really fast, and well, that's the way we hang pieces.
Mm.
uh, it's fine that you take your time when he's low on the clock, because I mean, if you take your time, you're supposed to make a lot stronger moves than if you blitz them out. Um, and you're going to create a lot of problems for him, difficult to solve, which are difficult to solve, um, and not just try to win on merit of the clock, which is not bad, but it's a dangerous strategy try to uh, to just I mean drain all his time.
Hmm.
And now he went for g4. A very strange exchange sacrifice.
Yeah,
I mean, there was no any.
he simply didn't see this, and because he was wanting to play this like previously, he was thinking of G4, but he didn't. He just simply overlooked.
He didn't
Yeah,
see at
yeah,
all.
yeah.
Okay. He's well again. He's not in bad shape here, but he's the one facing threats. He has to do something about the rook on e2. His pawn on d5 and his pawn on b4 are easy targets. His knights are not well coordinated. Actually, that knight on g5 is going to have to retreat very soon. Um, well, I think it's still more difficult to play for him, even if he played correctly. I don't know. And maybe he has to change on e8. I'm thinking of a4, maybe. Maybe he could go a4.
Um,
Uh, I don't know if you consider this one.
oh man, it's okay. Yeah. Just too bad about that knight on f3. There's so many possibilities. um,
He's defending new one. No
yeah,
checkmate.
yeah, and even things like queen takes b2 would be cute, but doesn't work. Um, yeah, I guess I would go back to d7.
Yeah, I think you have to retreat. Um, but in that case, queen b5 might not be the best move. Uh, it doesn't ruin anything, I think. I don't think that white has anything here, but let me see. Queen d7, and maybe now g4. Now f7 is defended, but I don't see a good post for that knight on f5. Maybe he had to go for this. I mean, I really rather not play knight h6, but I think you're going to have to play knight h6 here. Yeah, maybe this proves that you were right and that knight on f5 is a little bit unstable. Yeah, maybe he should have gone for this. I don't know if...
Yeah, it was hard. He only had 120 seconds. Um, but
Oh,
yeah,
it's really long
yeah,
time.
yeah.
Yeah, I thought it wasn't so easy to see. It's not an easy move to spot because the queen is threatening a lot of things, or at least that seems on the first impression. Um, but yeah, he had this. I think now you have to play knight h6, and the knight is not well placed on h6, so maybe he had to go. Well, he played g4, rook takes e2.
This is when he
Rook.
was just he go, "Ugh," yeah. He was very upset with
Ah,
himself. Yeah, very upset. Um, but I actually, as the game continues, I almost dig myself a grave. I had to be very careful.
but it's still not trivial. You have to take some care.
Yes. Yeah, and this is where I didn't consider the issue. Even when before I took the knight here, I didn't really consider that this could cause me some serious issues.
Maybe you can wait a bit because, well, after he takes the queen away from the diagonal, then you can chop the knight, and that way uh, you win some time. You might want to go rook e8 here, and after that you can consider it's changing on g5.
Yeah, to be honest, I simply just did not see the danger here. I just, I think, even though I know I'm not supposed to, I think he was really low on the clock, and I think I thought I could kind of trade down and just keep put the pressure on him. I know I'm not supposed to, but that's what happened.
It happens.
Yeah.
uh, as regards that, I really like the approach. Um, these guys like Kasparov or Fischer, who are really sadistic when they had an advantage. They always made the strongest moves. They didn't even care if they were completely winning. When you see their games, what calls your attention is the fact that they're always trying to find the best way, the most, not the most beautiful, but the most effective. So they keep making those very, very strong moves, those very, um, those very effective blows, even when it seems that they win by any other way. They don't really care. They just want to make the best move, and that's, I think, the best approach, and that's why they almost never drop winning games. But it's something that calls my attention of this. I like your maneuver here. I mean, at first I thought it was unnecessary, but the king is untouchable on this 7, so who knows? I like
Yeah,
it.
so I thought for a very long time. So after he took my bishop, I slowed the hell down, and I thought for like 15 minutes on this move, because I'm like I was really scared here, and I knew that I could easily blow the game. So I was considering. I mean, I know there's a few different options to defend it against, against this. But basically, the two ideas I had were, escaping here, and then having the rook to play and the queen to play, and then the other idea was this. But I thought that in moving the rook to g8, basically the rook is never going to be able to move, and I would be able to move my queen, but I didn't really like the fact that now I'm just playing with the queen. I'm not playing with the rook anymore. I wanted to play with both pieces, and I know that if I did play rook g8, I know that I only have to keep the rook here as long as the queen is around on this side to pose a threat. But I just felt this was a safer way to proceed. I really wanted the activity of the rook.
Yeah, it was very clear after you played king f8, king e8, and king d7. I thought it was a very clear way of of winning. Uh, King h8 is also good, I guess. Queen h4, and it's true that your rook is somewhat condemned to the first rank, at least while Queen h is a. If he goes Queen h6, you go Rook g8, and his queen is not well placed. Well, it's threatening. And now he probably has to go back with the queen, and you can just go Queen f5, d5, Queen e4, and you start pushing the d pawn. The thing is that your rook holds his queen easily, and you have that free pawn and that pass pawn on the d file. It was a valid way too, but I like your solution. It's more elegant and it decides almost immediately. That queen on d5 defends everything. There are no problems with the pawn on f7, so I think that's good. So it ended quickly. King e8, queen takes h7, king d7, and he resigned here,
Yes, yes.
or he lost some time.
No,
Oh,
he
okay.
he he resigned, but yeah, he was still shaking his head at that earlier blunder. But he had like 1 minute on his clock here.
Well, what I get from this game is that you had a little trouble dealing with the central expansion of your opponent. Uh, when your opponent is taking up all the center in a rush, like like your opponent did, you have to find a way of hitting back almost immediately, because if he consolidates the domination of the center, you're going to have a lot of trouble. Um, it actually happened in this game after you weren't able to challenge his domination of the center. Suddenly, he got to play d5, open the e-file, and get a huge attack there. Hitting back almost immediately is important, especially if he gets a stable. And the idea it happens to the ideal center a lot. When you get pawns on e4 on d4, you're going to be better if your opponent doesn't challenge it on the spot. So d5 or e6, d5 was the way to go, as we saw and when we analyzed the opening. And then
then I played
I'm sorry.
e6. Yeah.
This is a critical moment of all the game. After you play e6, e6 is the mistake to remember. um, it's a loss of time, and it enables him to open the position over your king, or at least he's driving your pieces back and he gets a huge advantage. Um, I want us to go to the other study.
Okay.
Give me just a minute. I'll look for it.
I can link it if you need it.
Are you on the other study?
Yep.
Can you see the game?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me plug in the battery. I'm running out of power.
Okay. How's everyone in the stream doing? Not a huge turnout, but I think when people see the YouTube video, more people will join in next time. But we've got some of the regulars here. They seem to be enjoying it. Everyone says the audio is great, so
We're going to keep improving the.
yeah, it's going to get better every
this time
time.
around, the audio is better.
Yeah. Okay,
Okay.
so which chapter would you like me to go in?
Okay. The fifth chapter.
Okay.
Tal versus Milev.
Yep, I'm here.
Okay. In the game we analyzed, your opponent had a lot of trouble taking advantage of his leading development. He did quite well to open up the center, and then he kind of forgot to keep your king there. He let you off the hook, he let you castle, and suddenly you solved all your problems. Conversely, you made some mistakes. You played g6 and then you paired it with e6.
Yeah.
And it's too time consuming, and that has to ring an alarm almost immediately, because it's an opportunity for your opponent to get a big lead in development and to start making really strong threats. Tal was a master of it. He had a very keen eye to know when his opponent went too far, uh, leaving his pieces on the first rank, and he used to strike immediately. I mean, his games are crystal clear on that. I think it's one of the best things you can take from him, especially because his more complex games are extremely complicated. But on this aspect, Tal was spectacular. We're going to see a couple of games by him. And it really gives you an idea of when you can take advantage of some strange maneuvers or some losses of time. Well, it starts off as a symmetrical English, and suddenly we are in the territory of the symmetrical semitaras. um, well, this tension in the center, I don't know if you play, well, you don't have in your repertoire you don't play d4, and what do you play against d4 usually?
I'm terrible against c4 and d4. I'm playing against d4. I play knight f6, e6. So Nimzo.
Okay. Well, it also happens in the news so that the center is very fluid. I mean, uh, anything can happen at this point. If white takes c takes d5, then black can take with a pawn, and he's going to get himself an isolated pawn. If he takes, I'm sorry, the audio might not have come out well. I was saying that the center is very fluid. If white takes c takes d and black retakes e takes d5, then black is probably going to have an isolated queen's pawn after black takes back on d4, or white takes d takes c5. And it's also white who can get this isolated pawn. If now black takes knight takes d5, then it's very possible that afterwards he's going to play c takes d4, and white is going to play e takes d4. So as you can see, any kind of structure can appear for both players at this point. White can get an isolated queen's pawn, black can take an isolated queen's pawn, and if one of them gets to play b3 or b6, they might even get hanging pawns after all the pawns are exchanged. So this structure is very flexible, very fluid, and anything can happen at this point. It's very rich if you want to play some of these classical open. Well, the first interesting move by black, he moves an already developed piece twice. Of course, he's hitting the bishop on c4, but it might have been better to take on d4, c takes d4, e takes d4, bishop e7. And this is just a normal isolated queen's pawn opening. Nothing much is going on here. It's perfectly playable for both sides. Knight b6 is rather provoking because you're taking the knight from the center, you're taking it to the queen side, and of course you're hitting on c4, but suddenly white starts generating some threats. So he went for bishop b5, and now black decides that he wants to get the bishop pair, so he plays a6. What do you think of a6?
Thinking here. It's interesting. It does seem, I mean, at first glance, good to just take the knight. We're creating two pawn islands, and I'm just thinking of what the follow-up might be if we take on c6. Then it's if we take on c6. Also, once we take on c6, the light squared bishop is terrible. Absolutely terrible. That's kind of what I'm gathering from this position. I'm not sure what the plan is with the d pawn after that.
Well,
But
that's a good assessment.
mm,
A6, well, black is spending a tempo on forcing white to part with his bishop. I mean, it's a very common theme. I mean, you play the in, so when white plays a3, he's taking some time just to get the bishop pair after you play bishop takes c3.
mhm.
Uh, Here it's also happening, uh, but Black has already played a kind of provoking move by retreating his knight to b6, putting it on the queen side, and now he goes a6, and he's spending one more tempo on capturing your bishop. I mean, it's an important bishop, but White is getting really ahead on development. And you're right, there are also some problems for Black since after bishop takes c6, b takes c6, he has some structural problems on the queen side. He's still two moves away from castling. That bishop of c8, as you said, is going to be a problem. It's not that easy to develop. Maybe you're going to go bishop
H6
b7,
maybe.
but
Oh,
I'm sorry, what?
I thought maybe to H6 at one point. Bishop H6. Sorry,
Okay,
sorry, Bishop A6.
a5 and bishop a6. Okay, uh, it could be, but it takes time.
Yeah.
Uh, Again, you have to play a5, bishop a6, and white is making a lot of progress. He's going to castle, well, exactly right now, and now black has to take care of of those problems, and he can't do it all at once. Now he has to choose. Um, Actually, he went for bishop b7, which is reasonable, uh, but he might have wanted to finish his development and castle like it's often recommended. It turns out that it's not so easy. Uh, for example, what do you think of this move? C takes d4.
I don't hate it for black. Um, I think he's helping to solve the issue of his light squared bishop because now he can maybe play c5 at some point and open up that diagonal.
Yeah, that's the hope in part, and he also gets rid of the problem of that pawn on c5. But white gets something too. He's going to get his bishop out, and now he can take.
Oh, your mic is cutting out. I
I'm
can't hear you.
sorry.
Yeah.
The, he
Oh,
takes
it's
d4.
yeah, it's interesting because this like if this was me, generally I try to avoid isolated pawns. I know they're not always bad. I know sometimes they're an advantage, but if this was a game, like I would, there'd be a good chance I would be taking with a knight here.
Okay. Just for the sake of keeping your pawns together, I guess.
Yeah, I'm a little bit scared of isolated pawns, of having them.
I'm sorry, the audio kind of went
Oh,
off there.
I said I'm a little scared of being the one with an isolated pawn. I know that there's pros and cons to them, but I'm still not super comfortable with them.
Well, they are a long-term problem if you don't get anything from them,
Mm.
and that's scary. I get it. Here, the situation kind of calls for it because if you play knight takes d4, then immediately c5, and then he's going to go bishop b7, and that's going to be a pretty good bishop. And well, any trace of advantage is not there anymore. uh, it takes d4 is required, and now you can go 95 very soon. So that's a good point of taking on d4. Maybe now you can see that it's less scary here because black has also his own weakness on c6. You're not alone in this business of having an isolated pawn here. And his pawn is going to be even more vulnerable. It actually brings him a lot of trouble because it keeps his bishop imprisoned. He's going to play bishop b7, and that bishop is going to do nothing. And it's not that easy to play c5 because, well, you're taking a lot of time with black here.
What do you think about c5 here for black?
Immediately, I don't know, maybe bishop e3, just for the sake of bringing more pieces out.
Yeah.
And threaten d takes c5. But it's a very valid. This is my first reaction, just on principle. I don't know if it's the best. Well, now d takes c5 seems to be a threat. So
Maybe queen
might want
queen c7.
Queen c7. Queen c7. And there I'm torn between d5 or rook c1. I tend to like rook c1.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, there are some problems, I guess.
Okay, I was just curious.
No, that's fine. It's always good to try to refute those lines because they look strange, but well, you have to refute them or he's going to get away with it. Yeah, it looks dangerous. You still have your bishop on f8. You're still 2 moves away from castling, and it seems that white is starting to make threat after threat, and as soon as you realize you are 2 moves away from castling, and you still haven't gotten your pieces out, and the threats start to crop up, so you never get the chance of actually castling. And it's kind of what happened to Tal's opponent here. Just to go along with the line we were looking at, if black plays bishop e7, then knight e5, hits c6, and after bishop b7, then queen g4, and the attack is starting to look very dangerous. Now I think you can't castle because of bishop h6. And if bishop f6, knight e4, and all the pieces are looking directly at that king, and it looks very bad. Bishop b7, I'm sorry, was another way to try and castle immediately. And apparently Tal wanted to change to a positional approach here after d takes c5. And that's very interesting because we think of Tal as a magician who who almost always had a tactical trick prepared, but he could also be flexible. Well, of course, he was a world champion. He knew how to do everything at a very high level, and he was flexible. He knows that the advantage in development is of temporary nature. So you have to make something of it. You need, at the end of the day, you need to get a more permanent advantage, and it might well be a positional advantage. In this case, he's going to play against this weak isolated pawn, which is on an open file, and he's even ready to exchange queens. Of course, he's trading one advantage for the other, but he's trading his advantage in development for a more permanent kind of advantage in the pawn structure. After something like queen takes d1, rook takes d1, bishop takes c5, also knight e4, and now he's going to go knight d6, and he even gets to exchange one of the bishops. So black doesn't even get to keep his bishop pair. Bishop e7, knight d6, bishop takes, rook takes, and now the advantage is rather big. I mean, those pawns are really very weak, especially this one. And you're going to have a lot of trouble on the dark squares as black. There are many weaknesses. The fact that there are opposite colored bishop doesn't mean anything with so many pieces over the board. In fact, this bishop might well make the difference after something like b3,
Yeah, I was just going to
b2.
say, yeah, b3 looks pretty good. We're taking away a4 and c4, and we've got the bishop about to develop, and the bishop could even maybe do something on a3 even. Oh, I don't hear you.
I'm sorry,
Okay. Yeah.
I forgot. Yeah, this looks very bad position, at least for black. Um, what's interesting of that is that he was completely ready to change um, his leading development for a completely positional kind of advantage. In the game, he didn't need to do so. He could go and be his usual self because he started sacrificing everything. um, After castling, king castling, black played bishop b7. It looks reasonable, but still he's doing nothing to castle. uh, Tal played knight e4. What for? What do you think knight e4? What's the idea of knight e4?
Well, knowing tall, it could be anything, but let me think. Well, I mean, we are just putting another attacker on c5. We're allowing ourselves to take on c5 now, um, which could also possibly give another um, outpost for the knight on d6. We're opening,
Exactly.
yeah, and we're opening up the c file too. So I don't know, down the road, maybe rook c1.
Exactly. He immediately starts creating threats. So from now on, black can just go bishop e7 and he can castle. He's 2 moves away from castling kingside, and he's going to be 2 moves away from castling kingside from the rest for the rest of the game. And from now on, it's threat after threat, and there's no even a little window for black to breathe here. Um, 94 does two things. One is creating that threat, and the other is provoking c takes d4. And then Tal intended to take with a pawn, and this bishop on c1 is going to be free again. He's trying to provoke that, and he's trying to, as you said, um, gaining control of the c5 square. Uh, Black starts fighting for that square because he thought, well, if a knight ends up landing on c5, the bishop on b7 is going to be shut for the rest of the game. He might be right, but he's starting to forget about the fact that his king is on e8 still. So he went for knight d7, which is fine. Black could go the other way and just try to develop with c takes d, takes d. We're going to take c takes d4, e takes d4, bishop e7 looks natural, but then, well, queen c2 is fine. You're going to go knight c5, and that bishop on b7 is going to suffer a lot. Castle kingside, knight c7. There we can see this bishop on b.
Oh, you're
This
cutting out.
bishop on b7, I
Okay.
couldn't mark it. This bishop on b7 is going to be a very bad piece for the remainder of the game. Uh, Black is very much alive. He can go for, I don't know, he can play rook b8, followed by knight d5, but the knight on c5 has a very annoying cramping effect. It keeps the b7 bishop out of the game, and that weakness on c6 and that weakness on a6 are not going anywhere. So this is very tough to defend as black. And that's why it's understandable that black wanted to fight for the c5 square, but he keeps losing time in doing so. Knight d7 is a further loss of time, and well, black is not going to castle anytime soon. Tal insisted. He played queen c2. He really wants him to take on d4. Well, black keeps avoiding it. He plays queen b6. And now, what do you think white should play?
So there's different things that come to mind. First, I was looking at a4, a5, but then I was looking at b3 and putting the bishop on a3, just simply adding another attacker on this super defended and attacked c5 square. I kind of like that idea, because then we can even put a rook on c1 and just totally bulldoze through. I guess what I need, yeah, I don't know. I like b3.
Okay, b3 looks reasonable. I mean, white has to take that bishop out sometime. The thing is that it gives black some time to finally finish his development, I guess. And maybe black can go c takes d, e takes d, bishop e7.
Well, if c takes d, can't we do something on the d6 square? Oh wait, sorry, no. I keep thinking our bishop is here already. Yeah, okay.
Oh, I like the bishop was over there. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, there are a couple of things to look at here. If b3, well, I guess he has to take on d4. I mean, bishop e7, bishop a3 seems very uncomfortable. I mean, he's losing the pawn. So c takes d, e takes d, and maybe now black can free himself with c5. I don't know if this is possible at
Don't.
all. Looks dangerous, but well, at least he's hitting the knight on e4.
I wonder. Well, yeah, yeah. Wonder even bishop e3.
Bishop e3. Yeah, looks very dangerous for black, to be honest. Maybe the best he can do is play queen c6 and give up that pawn on c5 just for the sake of getting that battery, but it doesn't look very promising. So b3, I'm sorry, b3 looks like a worthy alternative. Um, c takes d4 is almost forced, I guess, because bishop e7, bishop a3. C takes d it takes d4. Maybe it's too soon to play c5. I don't know. And maybe you have to go bishop e7 here. But then bishop g5 and you still have the advantage. I mean, you're fighting for the c5 square after some bishop e7, bishop g5. You're trying to exchange those bishops and then put something
96,
on
yeah.
c5.
Oh.
You're still better here. I mean, it looks like a worthy alternative.
Hmm. Oh, I can't hear you.
I'm
Okay,
sorry.
okay.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I just realized. um, Actually, Tal played a very strong move that almost forces Black to give up his right to castle. It seems almost impossible, but there's something that creates very strong threats and keeps the Black king on the center.
Hmm. Keeps the king in the center. I don't see it.
It's actually not such an easy move to find. It's not the first one anyone thinks of, I guess. Um, It's kind of strange because he offers an exchange, but the exchange is very, very bad for black.
Well, yeah, it would have to be knight e5.
E5. That's a blow. It's a big blow to black's position. The thing is, it almost seems automatic to take on e5, but black is going to have a lot of trouble with that pawn on c5 and with the d6 square. Not to mention that the bishop on b7 is permanently shut. With a pawn on c6 and a pawn on c5, he's not going anywhere anytime soon. um, Actually, if now black played knight takes d5 and d takes c5, he's going to lose that pawn on c5 very soon.
What, now b3?
Exactly. Now, b3, bishop a3, rook ac1 is
Mm.
going to capture by force that pawn on c5. Well, those pawns on c6 and c5 are maybe the worst pawns you can have on chess besides the triple pawns. uh, these are double and they are isolated also. And they are on an open file. I mean,
Mm.
it couldn't be more weak.
And they're blocking, they're creating two bad bishops.
Exactly.
Mm.
They make both bishops horrible.
Mm.
I mean, you don't get worse pawns at that. The pawn on c5 is going to follow. Is going to fall very soon. I mean, after bishop b7, I think I put the variation here. Rook d8, for example, b3, bishop b7, bishop a3, and the pawn on c5 is not going anywhere. And the problem is not so much that the pawn is falling that it's bad on itself. Black's bishop on b7 is still going to be a problem. So Black is soon going to be a pawn down, and he's also going to be left with his worst piece. So this is not playable at all for Black. In fact, uh, Tal's opponent preferred to give up his right to castle than going for this. And well, it's understandable, but because this is just completely lost.
Mm-hmm.
He went for c takes d4, knight takes d7, and well, Tal got what he wanted. King takes d7, that king is going to be on the center for the rest of the game. I liked his decision now because he took on d4 immediately. One can think of rook d1 as a logical move, and it is, but Tal judged that it's more important that his bishop gets to e3 promptly, and so that the queen is going to be threatened. And it's another game of tempo. I mean, Black is going to be forced to move his queen once again. Uh, well, he went back, he played king e8, bishop e3, the queen went back to c7. Notice that Black's pieces are still on the first rank. I mean,
Yeah.
he can't castle anymore. Now it's
Mm.
not important, but he even he didn't even have the time to move his bishop on f8. And now, now comes the definitive blow. I mean, this completely destroys Black's position.
Hmm. I mean, I almost want to put the knight on c5, but at the same time, I don't really want to. I'm kind of helping him trade off a good knight for his, for his bishop. But I kind of like how the queen ends up on c5 there. But I'm thinking our knight is probably too good to trade there. Um,
Well, you have the advantage in that case too. But Tal actually wanted to make the most out of the situation of the Black King. Uh, we see the king is on a8, but actually he's not allowed to castle
mhm.
anymore. So why Tal kind of wanted to get to the king, and he found a very strong blow, and that takes advantage of the tactic.
Well, I do know that the pawn on c6 is pinned, but d5. I don't see what we're going to do after d5 e takes. I briefly looked at that, but I didn't see a follow up. I guess in doing so, we're opening up the e file. Maybe then we can start to move the pieces away. So if I don't think there's something here, but d5 if e takes, um, and then wait. Oh no. I was thinking that didn't quite work. There's a check there. Also, because we're opening up the c5 square for our bishop in doing that. So if d5, e takes, there is bishop c5. What I looked at briefly before that was d5, e takes, bishop b6. But I was thinking that we might have a fork somewhere. But yeah, so I don't think d5 works.
Well, he actually went for d5. The follow-up is very difficult, you're right. It's not easy to see what happens after he takes. But well, now he got the e-file open. That king isn't going anywhere, so even after knight c5, you have plenty of compensation and more, probably. uh, but Tal followed up with rook fe1. Couldn't be Tal if he didn't play something like that. The thing is, can black take on e4?
It's tough. So this was played. Rook fe1 was played here.
Yeah, that's a move by Tal. Couldn't be Tal if he wasn't playing something like that at some point in the game.
Yeah. Let's see. Because I'm not even sure how white would want to respond. It could take it as a queen, and then I'm also looking at weird stuff because it is tall. I'm looking at even just like bishop b6 as a possibility because, but it's probably not. It's probably too much. I'm thinking, if bishop. So if pawn takes bishop b6 and queen takes b6. I don't think that's enough to mate. Oh, I don't know because we have an open d file too. But then again, he's got. So if we do rook takes and then bishop e7, that can't be enough. I don't think that's enough. So
how's the variation?
Sorry. Well, I was looking at. I was just looking at. I was looking at e takes d4, bishop b6. Queen, I was looking at that, and then queen takes b6, and I was seeing if we had enough to mate there, but I don't think that's enough. So if pawn takes, we might have to. Well, the other thing, okay. So if we take with the queen, no, it seems like black can just take the knight. It seems.
The most natural move would be queen takes e4 check.
Mm-hmm.
And then the thing is, there are not so many good places where that can go.
Oh, yeah. If bishop e7, then we have bishop c5.
That's the key. And he gets. Well, you're going to get your piece back, but that king is going to perish very soon. So yes, if d takes e4, queen takes e4 check, and if bishop e7, bishop c5, well, if you play queen e7 instead of bishop e7, white is just going to take the queen away, like, for example,
and then bishop c5.
Queen c4. And exactly, and then bishop c5 or bishop b6, and it's going to be too much. So he can't actually take on e4, incredibly. He went for king d8, and now queen b3, threatening bishop b6, winning on the spot. So there's no time for anything other than c5, which is really weakening. And now
rook c1 maybe.
Oh
no, we can't do rook c1, but
no, he won by means of a simple combination. Nothing that spectacular.
Well, I think we can just take the pawn because the bishop on b7 is going to be hanging.
Yeah, exactly. He went for knight takes c5, bishop takes c5, bishop takes c5, queen takes c5, queen takes b7, and well, he resigned here because rook ac1 or rook ad1 is coming, and that's the end of it. That king on d8 is going to have a lot of trouble.
22 moves.
22 moves. Could have said that. Could have said that in 10 moves, Black would be resigning from here. I mean, the energy that Tal puts into his moves is amazing. Um, as you see, from the perspective of what we saw in your game, Black made a lot of similar mistakes here, similar to that E6, for example. He played A6 and, well, spent some time to get the bishop pair when the situation wasn't ripe for it. I mean, uh, he had to take care of a lot of weaknesses on the queen side. He was behind in development, and then he tried to hold on to the c5 square, and that cost him a lot because he never got to castle. And well, Tal's play was masterful. This knight e5 is not easy at all to find, but puts Black in a very difficult situation, a very difficult choice to make. Uh, Either he has to give up the right to castle, or he gets really cramped after knight takes c5, d takes c5, and you have a lot of trouble that c5 pawn is falling and a piece is going to land on d6 immediately. And well, after the king was on the center of the game of the board, there was no hope for Tal's rival to actually hold this. Okay, I'm leaving you some of the games analyzed, especially some of the most important moments. Let me see. Uh, Before we go, I want to take a look at this position if you still have the time.
Are you in the other study or?
Yes, I moved to the
Oh,
other
okay.
side. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's the seats.
Okay. Oh yeah, I knew you were going to touch on this. I know. I was wondering what the hell happened. I felt so strong here, and I felt so good. Like my position is just you couldn't ask for more, and straight like pretty much straight out of the opening in the Tarrasch. Once he played Bishop E7, I was ready to pounce on him. And I was pretty happy with how I got to this position. Like Queen G1, I was pretty proud of, and pushing G4. And I thought this is just you couldn't ask for more. And then I think if it's Black's move here, I believe he played. Oh no, I think it's White's move.
I'm sorry, it's Black to move.
Is it?
Actually,
Yeah. So I think he went to
he
F7. Yeah. And then once he went to F7, I mean, I did analyze this game with the engine after, but when he went to F7 here, I actually thought I let him out of the noose here. I actually thought I somehow missed something and that my winning attack was over. I'm trying to remember what I played. Oh, I played G5. I played G5, and I don't ask me why I played that. Okay, part of why I played it is because I thought Black had already escaped my threats here, and I was basically, I think my line of thinking was, okay, somehow he escaped, and I'll just close it up, and I do have the space advantage overall, and then I'll move everything over to the king side, or sorry, to the queen side and push there. But there was definitely still a lot of play here. I should not have closed it up. And I actually think when I played g5, I think for some reason I actually may have simply overlooked h5, that he can just close it up. Yeah, I don't know. G5 is just a massive blunder. There was a lot of play left here. I don't know. I can't really quite explain why I played it.
Well, I think this was the biggest positional mistake you made in the tournament, probably. I mean, your whole advantage is there on the king side. You have a very big special advantage. I mean, that pawn on e5 is, it has a very big cramping effect over the black pieces. All of black pieces are concentrated on the queen side. I'm sorry.
Yep.
There are knights on b6 and c6, that bishop on d7 and that bishop on e7 are all ready to play on the queen side, but they are not nearly as well prepared to play on the king side. That space advantage of yours gives you the upper hand on the king side, actually. So now it's time to try and open as many files as possible on that side of the board. And g5 actually does the opposite. And now black gets the opportunity to close everything. I don't think he's equal here or nothing like that, but he's in much better shape to fight on the queen side.
He has a chance now. Side. Yeah. I don't know why I played g5. Although I do want to say that in order to get to this position, I did spend a lot of time on the clock. So I still had a decent amount of time, but I was probably down to maybe 35 or 40 minutes here. It's not an excuse, but it kind of is partly why I overlooked how to proceed here properly.
There was some time pressure.
A little bit. I did look at g takes f5. And I was having some troubles after g takes back of how to proceed here, because I didn't really want to trade queens because he just gets his other rook into the game. And I didn't want to play something like h5 because I thought this could become a weakness, possibly. So I guess I didn't... I didn't really... Basically, I didn't know what my follow-up was going to be. I guess I could just even possibly had moved the queen, sidestep the queen, since I am attacking his queen with my rook. I'm not sure if it's this move or not, but I remember Stockfish suggesting creating like a super battery with rook h3 to g6 and then opening up. And that seemed to be very strong. So that would have been a good idea.
It could have worked. The thing is, you took a look at g takes f5. That way you only open one file. When you have a space advantage, and you have a very big space advantage here on the center and the king side, your pieces are almost always better prepared for the opening of the position, especially on the side where the space advantage is bigger. By means of g takes f5, you only open one file, and maybe black can cope with it. But you also mentioned another move, h5, which seems very strong. You mentioned that this can become a weakness later, but in fact you're trying to rip open all the files you can. After g takes h, what do you think you should retake with? or where or where you have to retake.
Well, when I was looking at this, I didn't even consider taking with the rook. Um, but taking with the G pawn, we still only have one file open, and I thinking once he like starts to trade things off, he might be okay. Like if we take with the G pawn, he just maybe trades queens, and then he can bring his other rook into G8. So if we take with the rook, and then he can even just take back again on G4. So, but
In that case, you might be better because the pawn on h6 is going to be a weakness. I mean, rook takes h5, f takes g4, queen takes g4, queen takes g4, rook takes g4, and well, I think you're better there. But at this point, you might not need to take immediately on h5. You want to uh, open all the files you can, and here you can make a wreck of his pawn structure. You can take g takes f5 first.
so I guess, yeah, I mean, I guess he has to recapture because if he trades, well, no, he doesn't. He could trade queens. So I'm concerned of him being able to trade queens here, I guess. I think he got disconnected. I think we got disconnected, and but we've actually I've hit my lesson quota. I've hit the 2-hour mark, which is all I had with Alessandro today. I'm actually going to leave the call because we've passed our allotted time anyways. But I'm going to let me hide this. I'm going to thank him for this lesson. I'm just going to type to him really quick here. Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, so anyways, how come my thing is not showing up here? There we go. I guess I could hide this. Yeah, so he got disconnected there, but overall, I think that went very well. It was a dramatic improvement over our first session. Am I looking at this camera now? Oh, I got to move those around. That must have been weird because, yeah, okay. I should have moved these over. I can fix that next time. But yeah, as I was saying, I think that went very well. The audio quality is fantastic. Thank you to Alessandro for getting a microphone. There were a number of other improvements made too. I got a new headset, which is fantastic. It's I can hear him in my ear very well. I also believe I fixed an issue I had with my stream and YouTube video where it was not streaming and uploading in HD, but now it should be. And when I upload this to YouTube, it should be available in 720 HD. And I have a second webcam now. That's partly why things look a little different. I've got a second webcam. I bought a brand new webcam, and so now Alessandro can see me in video. Before, when we did our first video, he couldn't even see me. So now he can see me when we're doing our lesson. So overall, things are going really well. I think next time we're going to get him a headset as well, because we had some issues with echoing. I could hear myself in his microphone. So we should get him a headset and maybe make another little change here or there. But overall, I think that was a really good improvement over our first stream. Thanks for hopping along, and joining the stream this time. I'll probably switch or else put the webcam side by side, because I just realized the whole stream I probably was not looking at the camera. Might have been a little bit weird. And I will reposition things. I think you see my coat in the background. So I've got a few tweaks to make, but definitely it's got to be a huge improvement over the first video we made together. I hope to do another coaching lesson with Alessandro next week. So be sure to stop by next week again. I'm actually not going to play any chess tonight because I'm pretty tired. I had a pretty busy day. But I will get back to playing. Things have been a little bit slow because I was at a chess tournament, and then yesterday my stream was just going over my games, and then today was doing the lesson with Alessandro. But I will get back to playing. I don't have another tournament for 3 months, so I'm definitely going to get back to grinding games and trying to improve my rating. I haven't seen anyone type in the stream. Not sure if anyone is still here. But yeah, I'm going to wrap things up here, and I'll probably be back tomorrow. So thanks for coming along, and thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.